Important matter. My name is Bob Listenby. I'm one of D.A. Krasner's two first assistants. The other is Judge Carolyn Ingle-Timmon, who is sitting over here to my left. We're here today to talk about and discuss this vicious assault on a mother and the occupants of a vehicle, including two young children, that occurred just outside of City Hall here on Sunday evening. We want to announce that the defendant, Cody Heron, H-E-R-O-N, a 27-year-old male motorcycle rider, has been arrested and is in the process of being charged. His violent, lawless behavior is totally unacceptable here in the city and county of Philadelphia. We want to be thankful, first of all, to the Philadelphia Police Department for their effective investigation and the process of bringing Mr. Heron to justice. We here at the District Attorney's Office, under the guidance of District Attorney Larry Krasner, plan to prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. At this point, I would like to introduce the people who are present here and give them an opportunity to talk in greater detail about this case. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, we have to my left First Assistant Carolyn Timmon, the other First Assistant of D.A. Krasner. We have behind me Police Commissioner John Stanford of the Philadelphia Police Department. We have First Deputy Commissioner Frank Venor, who is also here and actively involved in the investigation. In addition, we have Assistant District Attorney William Fritz, who is supervisor of the District Attorney's Office Gun Violence Task Force, and the prosecuting attorney on this case, Assistant District Attorney Kevin Bittencourt, who is with the District Attorney's Gun Violence Task Force. For starters, I'm going to in addition, we have Councilman Mark Squilla, whose district we are in here, and this incident occurred in his district. We would like to start by having Commissioner Stanford come up and have a few words. After Commissioner Stanford speaks, he will be followed by First Deputy Commissioner Frank Venor. Then I'll introduce the members of the District Attorney's Office who will be speaking. Commissioner?
Thank you so much. Just going to be really brief before I turn it over to the First Deputy Venor to go into the details of the situation. But all of you have seen the video from October 1st. And again, we're coming with the same energy that we came with last week regarding the lawlessness that we observed in the city surrounding the looting. The same type of behavior around this incident, despicable behavior when you see an individual that feels that it's okay to jump up on a car and smash the back window with a young lady inside with her two children, not going to be tolerated. We're going to make those arrests and hold people accountable. And so I wanted to come with that same level of energy, that same understanding that we are going to continue to crack down on this type of behavior. It's the quality of life issues that have an impact on so many people in this city, aside from the gun violence, and that, again, we're fighting that fight every day as well. But I want people in this city to know this is our continuous efforts to make this city safe. This is our continuous efforts for people to feel that level of safety when they are doing normal things of driving around the city or traversing through our city or just going to work or whatever it may be. But we're going to continue to work and continue to hold folks accountable. You will not do this type of behavior moving forward, or you will face the consequences. Again, I want to say thank you to the District Attorney's Office for working with us. I believe this is what people in this city want to see in terms of collaborative efforts to bring people in and to hold them accountable for their criminal behavior. And so you've heard me say it, and I'll continue to say that until, again, we continue to move in that process and continue to get this city where it needs to be. I'll turn it over now to First Deputy Frank Venor.
Good afternoon. I'm going to put some details that you may already know, some of you may not know, just to let you know how the investigation began and what we did to finally identify the defendant in the case. So Sunday evening at about 8:40 p.m., we now know that the complainant was driving in her Ford Fusion. She had two small children in the back seat, 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. There was another adult in the vehicle. When her car, because she stopped at a red light, 1400 Penn Square, and a bunch of bikes, some of them dirt bikes, some of them motorcycles, surrounded her car. At some point, the defendant's motorcycle came into contact with her vehicle. That caused a confrontation between her and the individual verbally. He dismounted the bike, and what you see on the video is the aftermath of that. He jumps on the back window and breaks the back window out with the children in the car. The complainant exits. They have a confrontation, During that confrontation, we now know that he produces a firearm. He points it at the complainant, and at some point headbutts her with his helmet still on his head. That confrontation gets physical between the two of them, and then the bikes leave the area. The complainant later did report this to police in South Philadelphia, and our investigation began. We became aware of the video a short time later, and we began to look at the video, and at some point on Monday, we asked the public for tips. Okay, those tips came in, and we are thankful for them. They came flooding in. However, we now know that the defendant in this case changed some of the social media, we believe, and put up a name and some of his pictures with a name that was not his. That led those tips to come in under the wrong name. That was discovered at some point during the investigation by our criminal intelligence unit, our social media section. They were able to track through the social media footprint back to who the offender really was. We were able to identify this individual, Cody Heron. That led us to a location in Frankfurt where a search warrant yesterday was eventually obtained and served, and evidence in this case was recovered. Certain clothing, a firearm, and the bike, the speed bike that we believe you see in the video. The individual was taken in, and at some point today was charged for this incident. So it took a lot of work. There were a lot of teams within the Philadelphia Police Department, our shooting investigation group, gun violence task force, our major crimes division, as well as criminal intelligence, the DA's office, and everybody worked together. We even had the FBI task force for a time helping us because, like I said, the original tips gave us a name that led us to New Jersey. That was completely false, and that name that was out there has nothing to do with this case. All right? Other than that, I'm going to turn things over to the Gun Violence Task Force to explain charging and where we go from here. Thanks.
At this point, we'd like to have Mr. William Fritz, or Bill Fritzy as we call him, from the District Attorney's Gun Violence Task Force come up. He's going to then introduce the attorney who's handling the case, Assistant District Attorney Kevin Bentoncourt. Fritz?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to briefly talk for a minute here. I just want to again reiterate how thankful we are to the public for all of their tips and the police department for the excellent work they did throughout all the different departments. I think it's a testament and a turning point in the city that we know that people are fed up with the ATVs running around and with people committing this type of violence. The tourism industry, everything gets affected by what's happening in the city. And this type of violence should not be permitted. Today, the charges were presented to the District Attorney's Office. Gun Violence Task Force DAs, Mr. Bentoncourt, reviewed those charges. The defendant is headed into arraignment as we speak, and we will know shortly the bail. We've requested very high bail in this case, but at this point, because we are awaiting those decisions, we are not going to announce anything regarding bail. Again, I just want to thank the police department and the public at large for doing what they did in this case. Mr. Bentoncourt will step forward and he'll talk to you about the charges and also any contact he's had with the victims in this case as well.
At this point, everybody has probably seen the video. Everyone knows what's going on with this situation. It's a situation that has been an issue for the city. We reviewed the charges. We're proceeding forward with charges for the driver, the mother, for aggravated assault, felony of the first degree for her being the victim, along with related charges, and for the damage done to the property. We've also approved charges for the front seat passenger, as well as for both of the minor children who were 2 and 5 years old. Those charges are also for aggravated assault. I did get the opportunity to speak to the mother. She was in shock. I asked her how she was doing, how she's been holding up, and it's been a lot. This being all over the news and everywhere has really been tough. She told me that her children are having a lot of issues sleeping, just a lot of nightmares coming through with this incident. So the DA's office will be working tirelessly to prosecute this case, and I will be sticking with it.
Thank you very much, Bill, and also Kevin. At this point, we'd like to have comments from Councilmember Mark Squilla from District Number 1. This incident occurred within his district. Councilmember?
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. This is, I think, a great day for the collaboration of both the DA's office, the police department, the administration, and city council, understanding what this means to the residents, to actually see this great work done by the police and charges filed by the district attorney show what true collaboration can do in order to protect citizens of the city of Philadelphia and really put public safety as a priority here in our great city. You know, a lot of these issues have been going on for a long period of time, and it's unfortunate that, you know, this incident has taken place. But I think what this allows us to do is knowing that by working together, we could help solve this problem. We know that this behavior cannot be tolerated. We know that the bikes are illegal that are on the street. And we know that people, when they travel in large groups, get a mob mentality where they believe they could do whatever they want, and then the lawlessness becomes the law of the land. This arrest will send a message that this will not be tolerated, right? That we as a city make sure that the people know who are going to come to our city to do that or live in the city and decide that they're going to break the law, that there are going to be consequences. And it's really important to be able to follow this through with the charges that are being filed, that all individuals know that they could come and make it uncomfortable for our cities, and make it unsafe on our streets by not only riding these vehicles, but by dealing in criminal activity, that we as a city united will come after you, will arrest you, and then prosecute you. So again, I want to applaud both the police department and the DA's office and the administration for this collaboration, knowing by working together and continuing to working together, we will pull our city in the right direction, on the right path, to make sure priorities of public safety is something that is foremost important to all of us here in the city of Philadelphia. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Squilla. At this point in time, we'll take questions in the following order. We'll start with Scott Jacobson, CBS, cameraman, or Dan Snyder, reporter. Any questions?
Good morning. For Commissioner Stanford or the end of that video, it appears there is an officer patrolling around that area in the roundabout around City Hall. Did that officer see the incident take place? Was he able to stop, or were they able to stop and talk to that monitor?
So that's something we're looking into now in terms of who was in that police vehicle. We do see that at the tail end of that, but so that's something we're looking into now as to determine what they may have observed, or if they observed anything. And again, that will be something that we will be looking into.
Okay, at this point, Ian Doherty, 6 ABC camera. Any questions? No? 6 ABC, Becca Henriksen. Yes.
Can you clarify the use of this alias? Was this a name that he was using on social media prior to this incident, or did he change his name after this happened to try to misdirect?
So detectives are still analyzing some of the digital evidence. You know, we have to subpoena that and then analyze it, so that's going to take some time. We don't know if he made that name up and it just happened to be people with that name, and people gravitated to people in this area with that name, or that he was intentionally doxing or trying to take over that person's identity. We don't know that yet, so that's still under investigation. So as soon as we get that, we'll let you know.
Okay, from Telemundo, Cristo Mora. No questions? Okay. Elaine Fisher, Fox 29. Okay, thank you. Sinead Ferreira, Fox 29.
My question is for the commissioner in regard to the ATVs and the detail that once there was the police department. We understand that there are obviously a staffing issue. You guys are short officers, but there is a concern out there that there isn't enough detail. Is there a plan to revamp that up and have other techniques to kind of corral these folks?
So we actually did a detail a few weeks ago where we confiscated, I believe, somewhere in the range of about 30 bikes or so. We have continued to do those efforts, or will continue to do those efforts moving forward. Again, the staffing is obviously an issue, but this is also an issue as well for people in this city. And so we're going to find some creative ways to work that and to be able to address it moving forward, absolutely.
Is there a second question for the commission? Go ahead, please. Yeah.
I spoke to actually Councilman Squilla just yesterday on a story with regard to this and the outrage, of course, about the folks. And I'm sure you're aware of other technologies that are out there, drones and different things like that, kind of connect the dots for investigators. Is that something that the Philadelphia Police Department
Right. So we're looking into a multitude of ways that we can address it. One of them, to be quite blunt about it, is if folks tell us where bikes are being stored or where folks are riding them, if there's a particular time of day, if they have information that there's going to be some ride-outs or things like that, those tips help us in that same way. So the same way that people provided tips to help us with the investigation, we could use those tips to help us in a preventive measure, right? And so we are looking into some of those other ways that we can possibly enforce it, working that out, amongst in terms of internally looking at what some other cities are doing across the country as well. And so we're just going to be as creative as we possibly can be until we can get this under control. And again, send the message that the behavior that comes along with that, many times people are terrorized in this city because of the behavior surrounding that. We have to address that. Again, it's not every bike rider in the city, and so I don't want to confuse that, right? But those that, engage in the lawlessness and the behavior that you see sometimes and putting people in danger, that's what we have to address and have to get under control.
Thank you, Commissioner. From the Associated Press, please forgive me if I mispronounce your name, Tassane Vesponza. I defer to the police department on that.
Well, I'm not going to identify the tipsters. We have a lot of anonymous tips. We have a tip line that we have 24/7. But we circulated the video. We were able to put still photos from the video out. And from those images, we were receiving tips of people that believed they knew who this individual was.
And from the Philadelphia Inquirer, Rodrigo Torreson. Torreson. Any questions?
My questions are for the Commissioner.
Yes. Commissioner.
Commissioner, was there any police response on the night of, so Sunday night when the incident happened, or was the investigation completely sparked just by the social media post, that viral video that ended up circulating?
So again, if I misspeak, then I'll call up Deputy Venor to make sure I'm accurate. But that evening when the incident happened, I believe the complainant went to one of our police districts, filed a report there, and then we started that investigation that evening. Obviously, once the video surfaced and we were made aware of the video, that assisted us and allowed us to move forward with the investigation in a much expedited way, because, again, we had that video, and again, that allowed us to identify certain things to be able to investigate. But the report was made that night at another district.
Were there any social media postings, or essentially was the police aware of any sort of gatherings or meetups? I know these happen, unfortunately, relatively frequently. But the city, was there any sort of heads up on your guys' end?
So we monitor what's happening throughout the city as it relates to those type of activities, car meets, the bike rides, the ride-outs, all of that. We have a car meet detail every weekend to address those issues. So we have staff that are again, assigned to respond to those type of incidents. The big piece is a lot of times they're not advertised, or they do them in underground sites where they continue to communicate amongst each other. Once we have information and knowledge that those events are happening, we will redeploy to those locations or those areas. But again, a lot of times with especially the ride-outs, they happen so quickly. That's why I said the statement of relying on the public's help, that if you have information, you know that that's going to happen. Call us and let us know. 686 tips, you can do it anonymously, but that's going to be the key of helping us move this process forward. When we can get that information ahead of time, that will help us be able to prevent some of these things from happening.
My last question is, I know it was mentioned before, but what exactly, can you expand a little bit on the protocol? I know there's been chatter about the limitations as to what the department can do with these types of confrontations. So what is the protocol?
Well, I mean, the reality is that we're not going to chase them because that puts everybody else in a hazardous situation. It puts our officers, in danger by doing that. It puts civilians in danger. So again, if we utilize some smart ways to try to attack the problem, but at the end of the day, chasing them throughout the city is not going to be good for anybody. Again, our folks would love to be able to apprehend individuals that are on the bikes, that are illegally on the bikes or in possession of firearms, and finding ways to do that. But the reality is that we will not chase them through the city. That just creates more of a dangerous and hazardous condition for everybody.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Mr. Ralph Cipriano. I'm sorry? Fox 29, my apology.
Two questions. Commissioner, what do you say to drivers like this woman? I've heard from skeptical people, tourists, and so many commuters. They freeze. They don't know what to do when they're surrounded by all these lights. What would you say to all the drivers around Philadelphia and in Philadelphia?
I mean, obviously, if you have enough time, the easiest thing to do is move over if you can do that. But some of these things happen so quickly, it may be best to just stay, where you're at, and allow them to go around you. This way, it allows them to get out of the area or out of your space as quickly as possible. But again, it's a terrifying event for people to be sitting in their vehicles and have to experience this. And you have a wide range of drivers, whether that be someone that is a new driver that has, again, no experience in dealing with something like this, or you may have someone that may be an elderly driver that this type of thing startles them and creates, some type of medical emergency for them. So again, that's why it's our priority to make sure that we continue to send the message that we won't tolerate it, and we're going to try to make any type of arrest that we can, obviously within the confines of the law, and to request them to be prosecuted, because at the end of the day, I think that sends the message that you cannot do that type of behavior in this city. And again, it's like people are fed up with it. And so my message would be, try to get yourself in the safest position as you possibly can, and call 911. Let us know that they're out there.
I talked to George Colony today, the Fort Lauderdale young man who posted the video, I guess the ultimate tip and the first one in this case. What would you say to him today? Because he told me he had mixed emotions about when they posted. Now he's glad he did because they got the woman out and they got somebody off the street that maybe shouldn't be there.
I say thank you. And the reason I say thank you is because that's what we need. We will never be able to do enforcement by ourselves. No police department anywhere in this country. We rely on citizens, whether you live in the area or you're from somewhere else and you have information. That's the key to us being able to move things forward. And so I appreciate that individual posting that information and making it available to us. But we need more of that. And that collaborative effort is what's going to help us, ultimately make things safe for everybody.
My apologies, Mr. Keeley. All right, now Mr. Cipriani.
On Monday, Jayon Sneed was shot and killed by Philadelphia police officers after he allegedly murdered 3 people, including his mother and father, and then shot his sister in the face. Can you explain to the people of Philadelphia why Mr. Sneed wasn't in custody when the district attorney's office in recent years has handled at least 5 serious offenses involving Mr. Sneed, including aggravated assault and gun possession, in light of a prior conviction for manslaughter?
Mr. Cipriano, as you know, we are here today to discuss this outlandish behavior by Mr. Cody Heron. And not in a position today, we do not have the head of our homicide unit who would be able to articulate specifically, address the issue specifically. So we'll have another press conference sometime soon. When Joanne Pescatore is here, she can address that issue much more fully than I can. So I'm not going to attempt to answer it because I don't have the facts to present to you. Do you have any other questions directly related to the issue that we're presenting here? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Cipriano. Okay. Thank you very much, folks. Of whom?
Probably the commissioner.
Yeah. Yes, Commissioner, we have a hard stop and 1 minute. So.
Yeah, real quick. Was this his bike?
Was
Was this Mr. Heron's bike?
to our knowledge, I believe it was registered to him, and
Okay. And what kind of gun was he carrying?
it was a 9mm. I don't recall the exact model of the gun, but it was a 9mm handgun.
And did he legally own that gun?
Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us here today. This press conference is concluded. Thank you.